So
Exactly.
another question I would have for you is, as a minority, and this is a genuine question, do you feel that you were at an electoral disadvantage?
You know, I never see myself through the lens of a minority. I see myself through the lens of a Singaporean. And I
Sure.
always make it a point.
I mean that's a politically correct answer, because
No.
we know
Hear
from
me out.
a very young age that society will, you may not see yourself as a minority, but society will remind you every now and again that you're a minority. No?
Yeah, but you see, and that's where I remind people that the first member of parliament in Potong Pasir, when he was formed as a constituency in 1968, was an Indian. His name was Selapa Ramaswamy, but he was uncontested. His successor was a Eurasian, Ivan Baptist, who served 2 terms. You know, and he was standing in a predominantly Chinese area and still won. Now, as Rajaratnam, the first time there was an electoral contest post-independence, he was in Kampong Glam in 1976. He won. So did Jayakumar in Bedok, because he was my MP when I was a kid, right? All of them, sorry, I forgot to mention JB Jeyaretnam, 1981.
Right.
Murali Pillai in 2016. These are all single-member constituencies and who had minority candidates who were standing for elections and who won handsomely. Now, I cannot imagine that, 55 years later, after independence, after we talk about, regardless of race, language, or religion, we are still talking about you are a minority and you have got a disadvantage. I tend not to see myself through those lenses, and even if people come up to me and tell me that, oh, you're a minority, no wonder you lost, I'll say, well, then so be it. Then I've got to educate you that it is not the race, it is the person. And if you believe that this person is going to be able to bring value to the table, then you vote for him. If not, don't. Simple as that. Because I think that's how we also have, we help our electorate mature, so that you're able to see things through lenses,
Right.
not as, through our race, but through the value which they bring to the table. That's why, Professor Walid, you need to stand for elections as well. You need to cross that line and say, yes, I, Professor Walid Jumblatt, will stand for elections because I believe that I can bring value to the table as a Singaporean, not as a minority, but as a Singaporean. There you go.
I don't know how you got from the minority question to me joining politics, but I get that. I get that. I mean, I think that's the attitude every minority candidate should take, right? But at the same time, it's not wrong for somebody to feel an affinity towards somebody who looks like you, who speaks like you. And ethnicity is just one of those markers. It's just one of the markers. It can be gender, can be sexuality, can be religion, can be football club, right? But wouldn't ethnicity still play a part in not racist voting, but racial voting?
Well, let me put it to you this way, right? Potong Pasir SMC, with its 19,500 voters or thereabouts, is predominantly Chinese. I still had 40% of the vote. So, that means that, I've actually crossed the racial boundaries in many, many ways. Because if I had not had the votes of the Chinese majority, I'll probably be hovering around 20 plus. Right? So I believe that in an educated population, an educated electorate, they will more see the candidate who's standing there more than the race, or more than, I think they're going to see the value which the candidate brings to the table. And and that's not saying that, if I was another race, I would do better. That's a crazy, dangerous line to get to. No, we should never cross that line, because, we see each other through the eyes of us being fellow Singaporeans.
Right. Okay. That would be in an ideal world, right? But politics.
No, but it's been like 55 years, and we are still talking about,
America
racial...
has been independent for 200 years, right? And they are still talking about race. And so,
of course, yes,
so
it's always it is something we've always been aspiring to, but we have got to continue realizing that we should look at ourselves more through the lens of Singaporeans as opposed to lens of being through our races.
Right. Okay.
The next time the next time I have like a candidate who's a mixture of Chinese and Indian. What are you going to call him? Chindit? What are we going to call him? Our first ever Chindian candidate.
Right.
You know, then what happens if it's a mixture between a Malay and a Chinese? What are we going to do?
Right. Yeah.
What are we going to do?
Right. Definitely. And I think the attitude that you are projecting, I think, is definitely how minority candidates should be thinking about elections. But I cannot discount the possibility that racial voting still occurs. I'm not saying whether elections turn on that. I just genuinely don't know.
But if racial voting occurs, how do you explain the victory of Aljunied GRC team, which had three minorities? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you had three minorities, right? You had Leon, Pritam, and Faisal, right?
But see, the thing
in
is,
a predominantly Chinese area.
The thing is, right, for a minority, you have to be like Pritam level to win, right?
Absolutely, yes. So we got to all work doubly hard.
Right, exactly, right. You have to be Taman level to be considered, SM Taman to be considered.
Okay, so which means, from now onwards, I got to start learning a third or fourth language.
Yeah, exactly, right.